Okay, so today what we're going to take a peek at, it is 10/19/2020. That's right, everybody, 2020, October 19th, insane. So we're going to talk about understanding integers. Now, yeah, it probably would have been a good idea if we could have done this a little bit before we added and subtracted, but that's okay. That's okay, because now that you kind of have that behind you, this section's going to be very, very simple for you. All right, so here's what we learned about integers. An integer is a set of whole numbers, that's an R, and their opposites. So what an integer is a set of whole numbers and their opposites. That is what an integer is. Okay? It's a set of whole numbers and their opposites. So if you think about this, okay, whole numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So opposites would be -1, -2, -3, -4, right? So a set of whole numbers, and it goes forever, and their opposites. Okay, it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. So that is what an integer is. Now, all right, so, and for some odd and strange reason, I think we've talked about this, but that's okay. We're going to keep talking about this because it's important to have a good foundation of this. Now, we know this keyword came up, opposite. So what is an opposite? If you think about opposites, okay, if you are 5, +5 on the number line, the opposite would be -5, because both of these are the same distance from 0. So this is 5 units from 0. Oh, and this is 5 units from 0. Okay, so opposites are the same distance from 0. And maybe what we did is we talked about this when we were going over our properties. Maybe that's where we've talked about this before. So opposites are the same distance from 0, no matter what. But this one's super, super, super important. Okay, this one right here is called absolute value. Now, this is the one that you guys have to make sure that you guys understand. First of all, to show absolute value, we use, I call them the math that goes in jail. All right, because we put bars around the number. So this right here, if you're ever looking at math and you see like bars like that, that represents absolute value. Okay, and what absolute value is it is the distance from 0. Okay, so opposites have the same distance from 0. That's what opposites are. But absolute value is whatever the distance is, whatever that number's distance is from 0 is your absolute value. Okay, so let me show you an example. Sorry, just echo on. So awesome, you guys learned this last year, so I'm going to make this really quick then. So if I have the absolute value of 20, so this shows absolute value of -20. So if you think about it, here's your number line. -20 is down here. Here's 0 right here. So how many units from 0 is -20? It's 20 units. So the absolute value of negative 20 is 20 because it's how many units or the distance negative 20 is from 0. If I had this, if I had, what's the absolute value of 10? All right, so think of yourself on a number line. Here's 0, here's 10. How many units away from 0 is 10? 10 units. So the absolute value of 10 is 10. FYI, key indicator really, really fast. When you're dealing with absolute value, your answers will always be positive, just to let you guys know that, okay? All right, so now these are the notes that I'm actually going to post on Google Classroom as other notes that you guys can have. All right, so first of all, ready, integers. So right now, you guys just get to sit back and watch. You don't have to write any of this down. You just get to sit back and watch. Okay, integers. It's a set of whole numbers and their opposites. So, gosh, for some reason, I swear, I feel like we did this. I don't know. Maybe my brain's a little wackadoo right now. Okay, so -3, -2, -1, 0. 1 is opposite of 1, 2 is opposite of 2, and 3 is opposite of 3. Okay, all right, next, opposites. Opposite numbers are the same distance. Yeah, I'm almost positive that this is, I don't know, but on opposite sides of the number line. Okay, so therefore 3 and -3. Yeah, I'm almost, this is just weird. So the opposite of -2 is 2. The opposite of 1/2 is -1/2. The opposite of 6.2 is 6.2. The opposite of 4 is -4. Okay. All right. Now we move into the absolute value. So in numbers, distance from 0 on a number line, it's always written as a unit distance. I believe that's what that means. Okay, so 5, the absolute value of 5 equals 5 because it's 5 spaces from 0 on the number line. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of -5 is also 5 because it is equal to 5 because it is 5 spaces from 0 on the number line. Okay. All right. So that's absolute value. Now comparing integers. To compare integers, we have 2 symbols that we're going to use. This symbol right here and this symbol right here. This symbol is the less than symbol. This symbol is the greater than symbol. What that means is that this number is smaller than this number on this side, okay? This number is larger, than this number on this side, okay? So if you look at number 1, -4 is what compared to -5? So -4 is here, -5 is here. So since -4 is closer to 0 or is further on the right-hand side, it's to the right of -5, that means -4 is greater than -5. -3 is here, 2 is here. Since -3 is on the left-hand side, 2 is greater than that. So -3 is less than +2. This one, -6 would be down here and -1 is right here. -1 is to the right. So that means -6 is smaller than -1. So it's less than. Number 7. 7 is here, 10 is up here. 7 is to the left of 10, so 7 is less than. Okay, all right. Number 2, oh, I should have gone the wrong way. Oh, well. 3 is here, 0 is here. 3 is to the right, so 3 is greater than 0. All right, 4 is here, -4 is here. 4 is greater than -4. All right, so that is a little tidbit of information. All right, next ones that I want to go over with you guys is this. Oh, maybe that's what I was looking at. Okay, we're going to talk about this right here. Okay, because this will help us move into the next part. All righty. So when we have to simplify signs, multiple signs, what ends up coming out of it? So that's what we're going to try to figure out right now. All right. So if you look at this, there's a negative outside of this 3. So if I were to simplify it, there's only one negative out there. So that means that this is going to simplify down to a -3. Okay. Now, if you look at this next one, we have a negative and then another negative. So we have 2 negatives together. When you have 2 negatives together, they actually simplify out. So this is a +3. Okay, now look at this one. So we had a negative, then we had the same sign as another negative, so that would cancel those 2 out. But then we added another negative to it, so it brought it back. So this would simplify down to a -3. So what I want you to understand is this. When you have an even amount of negatives, it comes out to be a positive result. When you have an odd amount of negatives, you're going to end up with a negative amount. Okay, so there was 1 negative here, that's odd. So my answer is a negative. This one I had 2 negatives, so that's an even, so that's a positive. This one I had 3 negatives, so that's odd, so that's a negative. Okay, all right, I know it's kind of tricky, but man, if you can understand this, when we start tomorrow's stuff, it's going to be a breeze for you. All right, ready? Let's go with the same thing. We have an odd amount of negatives. So simplified out would be a -5. Okay, look at this one. Okay, plus a negative right there, plus a negative. There's only 1 negative here, so it's another negative. All right, look at this one. All right, if we were to simplify this, I have a negative, a positive, a negative. So I have 2 negatives. That's even. So I end up having a positive result. So basically, when you have the same sign, you're going to have a positive result. So positive, positive, same sign, positive. Negative, negative, even amount, so that's a positive. Okay, opposite signs are going to give you a negative. So I have a positive and a negative right here, right? So I have 1 negative, that's odd, so it's going to be a negative. All right, a negative, positive. All right, there's 1 sign, so that's also going to be a negative. Now it's called the double sign rule, and this, I promise you, I will explain this a lot more tomorrow. Okay, all right. So take a look at this really quick. Take a look at this really quick. If you look at A. Okay, if I asked you to evaluate, what is the absolute value of 9? So if you think about it, this is just a review. I'm going to go through this, a review. Here's 0, here's 9. Absolute value is the distance that number is from 0, and it's 9 units. So my answer would be 9. Okay, ready? Look at this one. We're going to simplify it. How many negatives do you see? I see 2 of them. So that's even, so it comes out to be a positive 15. Number 4, the opposite of 4. Well, here's my number line. Here's 0, here's 4. If I go 4 in the opposite direction, it would be -4. Okay, comparing 0 and -6. Here's 0, here's -6. All right, 0 is to the right of -6, so it's greater than. Okay, evaluate this. This is absolute value. Here's 0. Here's -2. -2 is 2 units from 0. So it'd be a +2. Okay. All right.